I wrote this statement. This morning, I got up with full intention to go to work. I was going to stop by the courthouse for support. I knew my daughters were going to make an impact statement. I did not know the content in the impact statement. We went to the podium, Sherry, their mother, and myself, in support of the two daughters. When I had to hear what was said in those statements, and I have to look over at Larry Nassar shaking his head, that's when I lost control. I'm not advocating that everyone should do that. I feel very remorseful, very apologetic. I was embarrassed. I thank Judge Cunningham and all the court system for their leniency on me. This is cannot be a lawless society. I know that. I lost control, but I regained control later in a holding cell. When my children were little, they were taught to respect and obey and trust authority. That means the police and their parents and their teachers and their coaches and their doctors. They were taught to respect and obey and trust adults because adults would teach them the proper way to live their lives. And we see what happened there. When the girls were little, Sherry and myself worked hard to provide extra opportunities for our children. And they found these opportunities on the athletic fields. They all participated in sports camps and traveling teams, and they all played basketball and softball and volleyball, ran track, cross country, and gymnastics. And then the injuries started showing up. Almost immediately, this family's getting professional advice to see one of the top doctors in his field, Larry Nassar. And I should have felt privileged for paying the invoices because, after all, he was taking care of Michigan State University athletes as well as Olympians. I allowed myself to take this advice. I fell for the Michigan State hype. I was blinded to the fancy degrees hanging on an office wall. And I delivered, unintentionally, my three daughters to a demon who had his own twisted and sick agenda for his own demented desires. Now I have to live with the fact that I failed to protect my daughters. This is a strong family. We will get through it. Sometimes the relationships between my daughters have been strained, stressed, distant. I was always trying to figure that out. I was always frustrated and puzzled. Always tried to work as hard as I could to be a good father. And now I know what one of the reasons were, the main reason. The reason was Larry Nassar. Now I have to worry if my daughters can ever trust another man the rest of their life. The survivors and the victims are the most important now. And my daughters are a part of that. If it wasn't for all the brave girls and women that have come forward before now, I don't know if my family could have came forward now. So I appreciate and thank all the victims and the survivors for what they've done. I do not doubt for a minute all the people who have come forward. There was probably even more victims out there that have yet to come forward. And to them I say I wish you well, and I hope you can find the inner strength to go down the path of recovery. Like I said, the victims and survivors are the most important, but I represent the parents and the grandparents and the family members and the friends and the community members and the coaches and the teachers, all who have cared and taught and loved all these kids, not just my kids, all those kids, the right way. I thank all of those for their support. I want to wrap this up. I will tell you that I believe in God Almighty. I believe in heaven and hell. And I can only hope when the day comes that Larry Nassar has ended his days on this earth, that he will be escorted to one of the deepest, darkest, hottest pits in hell there is for him and people like him. I hope there's a lot of pain attached to it, because he's certainly left a lot of pain here on this earth. That's all I have to say, and I want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank you.
Now, I'll briefly, if you have a few questions, we'll answer a few questions. I talked to Randy. We have no idea who set it up. I'm going to follow up with it to make sure that whoever put money in that GoFundMe account, you should ask for a refund.
Are the Margaret sisters part of any lawsuit against MSU or against Nassar?
They are 3 plaintiffs in the civil suit.
In federal court?
In federal court, correct. Anything else?
Randy, you said that you're not a hero, but there were so many people online in the Twitter community who were pointing to you and saying they would have done the exact same thing. What are your thoughts on what they're saying?
Well, I can appreciate the thoughts. I certainly do. I'm a little bit embarrassed by what happened. Wasn't pre-planned. I didn't want to upstage my daughters or any of their other survivors or victims. It is what it is now. I appreciate the judicial system showing me some leniency. I was embarrassed about the situation I allowed myself to get into, but it is what it is.
If you don't mind the question, have your daughters and your wife forgiven you for what happened?
We haven't had time to really talk about it yet.
They have. You just heard it right here.
Randy, you mentioned that you didn't know what your daughters were going to say. One of your daughters did testify at the other hearing. Were you there for that? Did you hear that?
No, I was not. And today's the first day of any courts I've been in. And I assured Judge Cunningham I will not be at the future, if there is any. It sounds like there may not be any future impact statement hearings.
Right, but
I was not with my oldest daughter when she made a statement.
So you didn't hear what she had to say? You didn't
No.
know what your daughters had gone through until you heard it today?
We knew some of the details, but we didn't know them in that extent, and I don't know one word of what my oldest daughter has stated yet, and I'm going to find that out tonight when we go home. The question's been asked.
And let's just understand, excuse me, his daughter indicated it's very difficult for girls to speak to their father about the intimate details of what occurred. I believe that statement has already been made by Morgan. Let's leave it at that. Let the family go home and discuss it amongst themselves. They are healing, just like all the other families out there need to do. They need to heal. As a community, we need to support them. That's our job.
Brandon, your attorney spoke just about what's going on sort of behind closed doors when it comes to MSU and accountability there. What would you say needs to happen now, especially with court structures?
I haven't had a lot of time to process one of my daughters. Actually, two of them are out of town. We're just getting together today a little bit. I need time to process this. Certainly, there needs to be changes there. The survivors and the victims need to be taken more serious, and these accusations that come up need to be addressed immediately. Not take 6 months or a year or 5 years to decide if they were false or positive. And no one wants to go up on these podiums and state some of these things, and it's not true. I mean, it's a terrible tragedy, and it's a terrible thing in this country. So certainly there needs to be a lot of change coming in the future.
What's your reaction to the fact that some of these allegations have come up for 2 years and nobody did anything?
I don't know all the facts about the other cases. As far as answering the other gentleman's question, whether I knew all the details or not, we definitely know something happened. And it just all kind of brewed up today.
Was
So.
it details of what your daughters shared, or was it Nassar's reaction that you saw in court?
It was Nassar's reaction, was a lot of it. And when I had to hear it actually stated from my own daughters, they didn't want to tell me a lot of this stuff. You know, I just knew something happened, but I never knew the details. But to hear it from them for the first time today, I've yet to hear from my oldest daughter. Putting that together with his reaction kind of set me off a little bit.
I think there are a lot of people that understand you're kind of sympathetic in a way with your response. Why, can you explain to them why you say you were embarrassed by it?
That was not a staged reaction. I do not usually handle myself that way. My first thought was I probably embarrassed my own family. I didn't get to him to start with, so.
And he's very apologetic. So.
And I am very apologetic, and it didn't take long where I regretted that later.
I guess a follow-up to that question regarding the Ingham County, the statement that was made there. It was said in that statement that when you found out that something was wrong, that you were going to go and find him. Did that ever play out?
Yeah, we're not making a comment. I don't know about that statement. As Randy indicated, he has not spoken to his oldest daughter yet. Let them go home tonight and speak as a family. One more question, right here.
You mentioned that you've been in communication with Reich and Lloyd, so you don't expect charges to come from?
I'm not the prosecutor. I'm not the sheriff. We have cooperated with them. We have given a statement to them. I believe Matt Newberg has given a statement to them. I'm confident that, once again, just as Judge Cunningham has issued justice and showed leniency, I believe justice in this unique circumstance in a highly emotionally charged situation, that I believe everything will turn out fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we get the ages on the young woman?
We're just going to leave for the, yeah. John, you can give them the ages.